Here. The pillow. You like pillows.
It's perfect. So this is your first movie?
Yes. First directing.
Yeah,
First movie.
yeah.
Yes.
So, what was your choice to become a director? Yeah.
I'd always wanted to direct movies when I was a little girl.
Yeah.
And then I got older and I was scared. I thought that looks really hard.
Yeah.
That looks hard and
It's a big challenge.
it's a big challenge, and what if I fail? And then everybody says I'm terrible. So all the typical fears that one has about embarking on a big project. But in the end, but then I was always saying to my daughters, I have 2 daughters, don't be scared, go for your dreams, take risks, be bold, don't be afraid to be the boss, it's okay if you fail. So all these things I kept saying to my kids, I thought, I've got to do this. I mean, if I'm going to keep saying this to them, I have to be a good role model and do these things myself. So I wrote the script, and once I had written the script, I realized that this was the one that if I'm ever going to try and direct a movie, this was the one, because I knew how it should look, and I knew the tone I wanted with a comedy, but sadness. I wanted it to have real emotional ups and downs, and I wanted it to be warm, have a warmth to it, and feel like a real family. So I decided I was going to try and direct it, and then it was not easy. So it wasn't like I said, I'm going to direct it, and then all the money flowed in. It did not. It was a long process of convincing people that I could actually do this. But the reason I did it was because I cared so much about the script and how it would turn out. I thought I wanted to guide it.
Do you think you could direct another movie?
I do now.
Yeah.
I absolutely. I loved it. I loved the whole process. I mean, I loved, I loved working with actors.
Yeah.
I loved figuring out how the scenes would be shot. I loved location scouting. I loved all these I loved the costumes. I turned out to love all these. What I loved was that I wasn't, because I'm a writer, so I'm used to sitting in a room by myself, being grouchy, and not dealing with people. But turned out I loved my creative team, and I loved communicating with them. I loved the DP and the production designer, costumes. I loved all my composer, an editor. I loved all the communication with all the different elements. So I actually think I could be a really good director, because it's all about communication.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were a producer. So you are a screenwriter.
Yes.
Now you direct movies. Do you think you could be an actress, maybe?
No. I prefer. I am not. I prefer being behind the camera. Yeah. I don't think I don't think I would be good at that.
So when you wrote the script, have you thought about the actors before, or you cast all of them?
I didn't think about the actors before.
Yeah.
I very purposefully tried not to think about anyone in particular, any particular actor before, because I wanted it to. I just didn't want to get distracted by going towards a certain actor and things I'd seen them do. I was trying to just focus on real people that I knew and their behavior. So I didn't have any. I actually didn't have anybody in mind when I was writing it.
How it was to work with Mark and Zoe on this project?
Well, working with them was incredible. They're both really, really talented actors and actresses. And I don't think I could have done what I did at all if I hadn't been with them, because the way they just got into their characters and the way they prepared for everything, I really learned a lot from them. And so if they hadn't been there, I definitely would not have been able to do what I did, because every day, and what they said before we started shooting, they'd talk about the scene and their characters, and that would just be incredibly helpful.
Did you make some rehearsals before the movie? Or
Wait, what?
did you make some rehearsals before the movie?
Yeah, we did. We did a lot. Yeah, we did a couple of rehearsals. Not a lot.
We did. We rehearsed. I did a lot of rehearsing with. I did a lot of preparation with Mark and Zoe separately because they'd been attached to the project for a couple of years. So over that time, we talked a lot about the characters and various important details. And then I think we had about 5 days of rehearsal, which it's hard to get rehearsal on little movies. It's hard to get the time. But I think we had about 5 days, and it was very good because they really bonded with the kids, and Mark and Zoe are both very playful. So I think it helped establish a sort of a family connection. Yeah.
You wrote a lot of scripts, comedies.
Yes.
Monster vs. Alien.
Yes.
Now you wrote this one. It's a very strong subject, you know. So what did you like in the subject?
Well, so I've been a comedy writer for a long time, but I wrote for Larry Sanders Show, which was more of a, it's a comedy, but it's very grounded and real. I like all kinds of movies, so it was fun to write movies like Monster vs. Aliens that are kind of loopy and crazy, but in the end, I'm very drawn to movies that are like Terms of Endearment, Squid and the Whale. I love The 400 Blows. I like movies that are funny and sad, and more dramatic. I mean, comedic. I mean, a real blend, because I like things that feel more like real life. So this one, I wanted to. I felt like often, not always, but often portrayals of mental illness in movies don't feel real to me, because they are, in my experience, because I have a lot of people that I love who have struggled with one or another of these disorders, bipolar or depressive, or they don't seem like kooky characters. They just seem like real people who sometimes are up and are sometimes down, and they do have a different energy, but they're always you can always see that real person inside. And having grown up with my father, who was manic depressive, I wanted to tell the story about someone who is both a wonderful person and an impossible person, but who is loved, and what it's like to love that person, and to not be ashamed, because there's, you're not, a lot of families, I think they say, don't tell anybody about this issue, that if your parent, don't tell anyone your parent has this illness. It's got to be hidden. And I guess I don't think that that's good. I think that it makes people feel ashamed, and like there's something really truly wrong with them, when it's really a very common thing that happened, that is many families deal with. So I guess I wanted to try and just tell the story of a real person and destigmatize it, to take some of the stigma off of mental illness.
Do you think you can direct or maybe do some script for another genre of movie, maybe an action movie or horror movie?
I think I could. I think I could do a really good Hulk movie with Mark Ruffalo. The biggest bipolar person out there. I love comic books, so I would love to do any kind of female comic book action movie. I think I could do a good job with that, because I really I've always loved comic books, and I like fun. I'm drawn more to the kind of fun comic book movies. And I do like all kinds of movies. I don't know that I would do a horror movie. That probably is outside my thing, but I definitely think I could do an action movie, and especially if there was it was a female empowerment story.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's always men, so.
Yeah, I know. I love Kick-Ass. I love that movie. Yeah.
do you want to become an actress now?
Yeah, I want to act more, but my parents have told me I have to stay in school.
Yeah.
And I am not allowed to act unless I write and direct also.
Okay.
So.
Do you want to work with other director or actors?
Other, I would, well, I definitely want to work with, I would love to work with Mark Ruffalo and Zoe Saldana again. I loved working with them. There are many actors I would love to, what?
Director's Maya Wolodarsky.
Oh, and I want to direct with my husband, Maya Wolodarsky. He produced this film.
Okay.
And going forward, we would like to co-direct everything because we're real creative partners. But I've worked from time to time with Wes Anderson because I'm a good friend and I always read his scripts and I love giving him a funny little line or something when he's actually, Wes is the one when I wrote this script, Wes was the person who said to me when I said, but if I'm directing, how am I going to find these kids? It's going to be so hard to find these kids. And he said, you're going to cast your kids. So
It's a good idea.
The idea came from him that, what? So my older daughter was too old, but I was able to work with my middle daughter. So it was, Wes came up with that idea.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Can I take a picture of both?
Yeah.